What if everything you have deemed as impossible really was possible? What have you known and believed was possible your whole life? You just didn't know how to actualize it. Come and discover a world of infinite possibilities on Outside the Impossible with Venus Castleberg. On this show, we will share pragmatic tools to create the life and living you truly desire. And now, your host, Venus Castleberg.
Can I start that way? I'm so excited to have Cassy Summers back on the show. Welcome, Cassy.
Thank you. Hi.
I just love your enthusiasm, the way that you light up a room. It's just so brilliant and magical, and I'm always in awe of you and inspired by you, and so grateful that you agreed to be on the show again. So really, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here and excited.
Yay. Well, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself that maybe don't even know who you are? Who's Cassy Summers?
Who is she? Who is that? I am a Access Consciousness certified facilitator, and so most of the stuff that I create has to do with consciousness. It's kind of in that area. It's one of my you could say obsessions of life is just to how could I expand my expanding my own consciousness and contributing to others, expanding theirs. I'm also a mom of two amazing little miraculous boys and author, all the things.
Awesome. So were you always a seeker of consciousness, or how did that maybe come about?
I would say
you?
Definitely, yeah. I kind of came in with this this world is insane point of view. I was just actually have this photograph of me newborn baby, eyes wide open, very present, and the look on my face, if I were to describe it, would be are you really? What? But I always had this sense of another possibility. I always had it. I'm there's something maybe it's quieter. Maybe it's behind the scenes. Maybe it's somewhere else. I just have to keep seeking for it. I would often find myself as I didn't have maybe the most peaceful, harmonic upbringing. So luckily enough, we lived really close to a river, and I would just every day after school, drop off my things at home, and I would be down there, and I would be looking for answers with the earth. I would be pondering, at the age of 11, I'd be pondering life. Which sounds ridiculous. But yeah, I was willing to have anything possible, but I knew there was something more possible than what was the norm.
Mm. And so when you got into consciousness, was it more just kind of for you? Did you always know that you wanted to give back to others? Yeah.
I was a little bit tricked, okay. So, but I think I tricked myself, so it's fine.
Right.
So yeah, I always knew I wanted to contribute to people. I used to actually, I had a close group of female friends. There was 5 of us in total. And I was known as the person that would take someone aside and be how are things going? Let me, and I would sit there and talk with them, and they would always feel better. And they joked about me being a counselor. And they even when my one friend rearranged her basement, as girls do, she actually set up an area with this couch and I'm what's this for? She's oh, this is for you to do your sessions. And I was what? I'm 13,
also 11? Were you also 11?
No, I was 13, 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I laughed, but then I was yeah, that's actually probably a good idea, though. So yeah, I always knew something, but I didn't know what. I didn't see, you look out of here's your possible careers. This is the list you give yourself. Actually pursuing counselor and stuff didn't light me up. So I actually started working with kids, and that lit me up, contributing to them and creating with them. And so this is how I got tricked into Access Consciousness, bringing us back around. So I was actually pregnant with my second baby. And, at this point in my life, things were like, I had lost a little bit, or maybe thought I had lost some of that wonder. And it was kind of like, okay, cool. This is what is. And I'm like, I'm just going to do the best with what is and just be as happy as I can. And so when I came across the Access bars, which is part of Access Consciousness, I was like, oh my God, I need to do this for my family. So it wasn't about me. It was like for them, because they really clearly needed it, because we all need this. This is so amazing. And but having like sessions every week and then having it for my whole family, I couldn't afford it. So the trick was that to bring this to my family, I was going to have to take a bars class and learn this and do it, learn it on my own. And that really started the path of so if I hadn't been tricked into having, I never would have. I don't think I ever would have just, I'm going to go do this thing and learn this thing and be this in the world. So that was my launching point for sure.
That's awesome. So today the topic is Earth's magic. And I know that you talked about being 11 years old and just, connecting with the Earth then. But have you noticed lately that there's been kind of this personal pull from the Earth? And what has that been for you?
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Me too.
Yeah, you too? Yeah. Right? And it's not even, I like what you said, Venus, was pulled, because it's not even, it's louder or it's needy or it's actually this really, for me, enlivening pull of and these whispers and this tickling and playfulness that I'm getting from the Earth in a way that I don't think I've ever had. And so I actually made a commitment to myself to every day, even if I'm in Canada, so it's a little cold here, and I'm not a big fan of the cold, but just to get out there, just to be with the Earth a little bit, and to really, really listen to the pull and listen to what is the Earth asking of me, but also what is it sharing with me that I could receive.
Wow. Well, what triggered this new impulse for you? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. I think what's funny is this right before this, I was like, okay, you know what? I just need to tap into some Earth magic, because there's a lot of things going on in the world right now. And for me, Earth is being in that space of peace and calm. When I can just tap into the Earth and commune there, I have peace and calm. So I flipped open my Instagram and I started to look. I'm like, what do I have here that I could just tap into? And last May, I went to Malaysia for a 7-day Access Consciousness event. And I have some videos that I took. And I remember, I think that was the beginning of what's showing up right now. That was the seed, and then the tree has shown up now. I sat there on this beach. There's this beautiful swing, and you actually look out at the ocean, and our venue was right on the ocean. And I remember sitting there and just swinging, and there's beautiful music playing in the background, and it's warm, and just having this greater sense of me than I had had in a really long time. And then when I really expanded into that, I almost heard the ocean in a different way. And I was like, oh, wow, are you talking to me? And then as the, over the 7 days unfolded, at one point now it's nighttime and there's music on the beach, right? And everyone's kind of up there. And I walk down to the ocean and I'm like, hey, when was the last time anyone danced with you? And I just started to dance. And I would like rush at the water, and the water would like come up, and it was almost doing designs around me, and it was changing the way it was coming in and rushing over my feet. And then a ton of people came down and started dancing with the ocean. And it was like this beautiful unfolding of a possibility with the earth. And so now, so your question was like, what do you get like started to inspire this? Maybe it's because it's getting close to May. Maybe it's because there's so much insanity in the world right now. I'm not certain, but what I do know is like that seed, whatever was planted or whatever I chose then, is starting to like sprout in my world right now. And to have kindness for me, it's like I have to answer this call.
Wow, awesome.
And I don't sense, but yeah.
So let's say there's somebody out there that's going, well, I don't think I've ever experienced anything like that. Like, how could they maybe tap into their own communion or connection with the earth more so that maybe they hear the whispers a little bit more?
Yeah, that is such a great question. So I'm so fortunate to actually live in an area where there's, nature and creeks and lakes and mountains and trees all around me. And some people really don't. They live in cities, and it's like maybe a 20, 30-minute drive to get to some manicured kind of park somewhere.
Right.
But if you can, I would suggest, like, please find, like, demand to make the space and the time to go somewhere, to actually go and spend some time. And when you spend time in nature, and I'm going to give a tip for those, you can't do that right now, that's okay. But for those of you that can, if you've ever like met someone new that you're really excited to meet, like you're like, oh, maybe it's like a new relationship or someone you're just like have a mega crush on, or if you've ever had, like the pleasure of being a new mom or a new dad, and you have this baby and you're literally like, who are you? Like, whoa, you've got toes. Oh my God. and there's lots of them.
Hopefully 10. But,
hopefully 10.
But it's okay if there's 9. It's really okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Or that new, and you meet this guy, and it's like, oh my God, you've got a dimple on the one side, and if I say this, if I can do this, then you do that little smirk, and you're just so curious and inquisitive and in adoration. So now apply that to being in nature. Like, have you ever like looked out and been like, oh my God, look there's like no flowers, but there's this one little flower just here by this tree. It's like, and it's blue and it's so cute. And you actually like explore it as though you were really curious about this place. Like actually explore. And in that exploration, you are energetically, you might not know this, but you're energetically creating a community. You're converging with the molecules of the earth there, and of the consciousness of the earth there, by being willing to acknowledge it and adore it and play with it and be curious about it.
So what, maybe you can even speak to it personally, but what would some of, I love what you're saying here, and why would somebody want to do that?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I've got stuff to do. Well, I'm not going to spend my weekend on that. I got to clean out the basement.
Right.
So what I can tell you, what I can get out of it, what I get out of it, and what I've seen other people get out of it, and really, what the listeners have to get a sense of is like, what would they get out of it? Like, and maybe it's just checking it out, and maybe you don't know. It's like that new, like, hey, come check out this new restaurant. I know you're going to like it. And you don't know till you get there and you actually try. But what I get out of it is, one, I'd said that sense of like peace and calm that I don't know if I really get anywhere else. Like even, you go to a spa, you get a massage, that can be very relaxing. It can be nurturing. It can be wonderful. But it's not for me the same like level of expansiveness that I get if I'm going to go and be in nature with that curiosity.
Right.
So in a especially in an insane world or a high stress world or a high anxiety world, maybe you have maybe you're one of those people that do a lot of thinking. This is a great thing for you to do to actually invite a lot more peace. And what I've noticed with bodies is that they're kind of like everything being in nature in that way will start to kind of regulate everything. Maybe you have like, hormonal imbalances going on. Maybe you have pains in your body. Maybe you have like things that you want to change. This might sound crazy, but actually being in that space of nature can change those things. Your blood pressure can go down. Your brain activity can smooth out. So physically and emotionally and mentally, going and being in nature in this way can be such a huge gift. And that's like just the tip of what's actually possible.
It's possible. Awesome. And so let's say, like for you, you said, where you live is a little bit cold. So how are you going out and communing with it, but not necessarily putting yourself through cold shock?
Yes. So one thing, I'm really lucky that like I said, I have so much nature around me. So I can look out almost every window of my home, and there's a huge mountain with trees and stuff. So I will stand by a window, and I'll get really present with the mountain, and I'll like look at it, and I'll kind of explore it. Like I just talked about, like I'll look at it like a work of art. Like, oh, it's kind of like browning over here, and da-da. Like in the winter, it's like, oh, look at the snow and the way it's kind of sitting on those trees, and just kind of acknowledging like the magic of the beauty of it. And so that's one way. Or if you don't have that luxury, actually, I've taken my kids, especially when they were younger, and we went and grabbed like a yummy snack, like maybe it's hot chocolate or something, and I will drive out and get into a place where, I'm like near a mountain or near the lake, and we see the beach, and we just park there, and we like sip our hot chocolate in the warm car. but we're surrounded by the stunning beauty of nature, and we get to be with it in that way.
Beautiful.
Those are some 2 easy tips to kind of.
Okay. So you don't have to freeze yourself to do this.
No,
you can actually
you don't.
enjoy yourself too.
Yeah.
Great. Well, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back and talk more about Earth magic.
Awesome.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OmTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OmTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OmTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me the Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OmTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Is it time to create a different and greater world? Through research, we can explore paths to new and exciting possibilities. The Hope Foundation for Possibilities and Change is a research-based, not-for-profit organization dedicated to exploring, discovering, and creating a different future for all. Your donations make this happen. You can contribute at foundationforpossibilities.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm here with Cassy Summers, and we're talking about Earth magic. So you've talked a little bit about kind of what people can start to perceive about the earth, what do you believe is possible with the earth?
Oh, I love that question. I try not to read. It's like good to get information and not to be unaware, but also not to buy into like all the things, So there's a lot of articles out there about we're killing the earth is dying, like it's all within the devastation of it, rather than this is what can we be to, invite the sustainability of it, the thriving of it. So I actually truly believe that is possible. I truly believe that the world is not in a state right now, the planet is not in a state right now where we can't create something greater with. I get we can. And I get us like, so part of like the magic, so we talk about the earth, and part of the magic that I'm aware of is that the earth heals and that our bodies heal the earth. So I actually was talking to, a while back, I was talking to someone that studied music, and he talked about when music first came to be, it was kind of from tribes, and they would thrum upon the earth, and they would create certain vibrations with their bodies, and that they were actually aware of would heal the earth. Now, I know not everyone believes that, and everyone has their own belief systems, but when I check in for myself and I look at that, I'm like, wow, yeah, like I notice when I'm spending a lot of time in nature, my vibration is different, my energy is different, and then when I'm going to a piece of the earth like constantly, I notice it change over time. I notice its space changing. So what I get as possible is when we have people that are willing to actually explore this, willing to be an energy of change for the earth, then we can create anything with this earth that we are willing to, or we're desiring to.
I love that. And so just because it happens to be, front and center at the moment, how would you say that this being more in communion with the earth could contribute to, say, something like the coronavirus?
Yeah, totally. Well, I really get that, man. It's like when you look at like how trees are set up to be filters, and how I was even reading this morning that the sun, that people in really hot areas, like if you're willing to go out and be in the sun, the coronavirus can't live in that kind of heat. And it's even just saying drink warm water. But like the science that's coming out about it, I'm like, it's like everything's set up there. Like it's all available to us. So if that's your concern, like, book your vacation to somewhere warm, or just, but even creating that peace. So when you have a body that starts to feel attacked under duress, you're creating those fight or flight responses, adrenaline rushes. So you're creating that with your body, right? Mm-hmm. And you're coming to the point of view that you're probably going to catch this, and everyone is going to catch this, and everyone's going to die. Okay, so that is a choice. So are you actually feeding? So I look at with my energy as it's like it's nurturance to anything I put it to. Mm-hmm. So am I going to feed that with my energy and with my body's energy? Or do I look at, okay, wow, this is all going on in the world. I'm not going to ignore it. I'm not going to pretend that something's not going on. But what are the possibilities that I would like to have? And what do I need to do to like be that possibility? So now I take my body that feels under duress and it's all stressed out, and I go and be in nature. I start to be in that space of like being healing and receiving healing. From that space, you look at the coronavirus, what's different for you? For me, it's, okay, wow, this is something that's going on for some people. And the panic, the stress, and the doom of it starts to disappear for me. And then I can actually go into a question of like, is there anything I can contribute to actually changing this, or to anyone that's going through this? And actually, when I'm in that space, I can actually contribute more than if I'm in the place of panic and terror.
Right. Well, even, this reality and metaphysics that talks about, what you focus on, you create more of, right? And then in Access, we know that your point of view creates your reality. So if you're thinking that, it is doom and gloom, then that becomes what you see instead of, what else is possible here.
Beautifully said.
So let's take it a different direction. So one of the things I know about, even for me personally, communing with the earth is not a problem. Like, I'd actually much rather be with the earth than most people. And I'm fine with admitting that. And what I find, though, is sometimes taking that communion with the earth, the ease, the calmness, like you were talking about, the lower blood pressure, and taking that into the public, even taking it around people and back into your family or whatever it is for you. How does somebody take what they've gained with the earth into their everyday lives?
Yes. Oh, that's so good. I love that question. Yeah. Well, I get one is even just, if you like being that energy of peace or whatever it is that nature, maybe it's joy, maybe it's, maybe when I used to sometimes when I was out with trees, I would just start to cry. Like, I would just be releasing like so much stuff. And then afterwards I'd just be so spacious. And so whatever energy you're being, if you be that with other people, they can tap into that, even if they're not aware that they're aware of energy. They're aware of energy. And then they actually have the possibility of choosing it. So I've been like, I remember being once in, it wasn't around coronavirus time, but we were trying to get aboard a plane, and there was like, we don't know if we're going to make it. And there was this person in line, and they were like, he's like, are you on the same flight? And I was like, oh yeah. And he's like, why are you so calm? He was like, and I just like paused, and I was like, why am I so calm? I'm like, well, I just know that it's like, no matter what, it's going to be fine. And he was like, oh, he's like, can I walk with you? Like, can I? And so I walked with him the whole time. And we ended up actually sitting together on the plane. He's like, can I just, because it was like everyone was doing the insane thing. Like, they were feeding the panic. And I was like, I'm just going to be this space. And anyone that wants to join me can. And I had no point of view if they all wanted to be into the panic, that was okay with me too. So I didn't try and change them, but I just invited them to that like energy. So yeah, so how to bring that into your like everyday life, like just being that space itself is such a huge contribution. And you can invite people to nature with you, or you can invite them to like different possibilities. If it's light, you get that they might receive it. Yeah. And then what can you create? Like, what things can you create that include the earth in your life? So like, it's spring break coming up, and I've been, so I'm going to have my kids home, and I'm like, oh, what can we create with the earth this week that we haven't done? And so we have this trip planned out to this lake, and we're going to like pick driftwood and like do something. So you can create stuff like that, with the people that you love, and just keep inviting more of that energy into your life.
That's awesome. And what are some ways that maybe people could expand it, make it even greater?
Yeah. Expand like possibilities with the earth, or yeah.
And what they're receiving from the earth, because it's easy for maybe most people to go, okay, I can perceive the beauty of it. It's beautiful. Yes, that's awesome. And you can receive that. But what are some other ways maybe people can receive from the earth that isn't necessarily just tied to beauty?
Yeah. Okay, cool. Here's another fun exercise is when I was a kid, I would just I would lie, like find somewhere comfortable, and I would just lie on the earth and like put my hands on it and just receive. I didn't know that's what I was doing at the time, because the whole concept of receiving was actually, I didn't really understand it. I think a lot of us are still trying to get a grasp on, like, what is receiving? But if you actually just notice what you notice, and just be willing to, like, receive whatever gift that comes. And so yeah, lie in the earth, touch trees. Like I've actually been with people and they've touched a tree, and like, no, but hold on, touch the tree. Like, be present with the tree. You've probably experienced this, like maybe it's even in, like, with copulation lovemaking, like when someone touches your body and they're very present with it, or they're just touching your body because they're supposed to touch your body. You know, hug from someone and they're like with you, you can feel their hands on your back and you can feel a presence with it, then they're willing to receive you, and you can be willing to receive them. So when you're with the earth and you're actually like touching it, you're using your senses, right? You're smelling it, you're touching it, you're listening to it, and you're actually being really present with it. You're stepping into a space of receiving. And from there, you can really ask, okay, like, can I receive more? What else can I receive here? A question is such a huge gift. And you may or may not know this, the earth loves questions. The earth, like, it would love to tell you what it knows if you'll ask it. And it might not show up in a booming voice in the clouds. But you might be surprised what does show up. So yeah, when you're with the earth, like, just be present, touch it, use your senses, explore it, and just be in that moment. We often don't be in a moment. Like, we're taught to, like, quickly go into the next thing. To just be in that moment. Breathe, relax. Relaxation is like a great way to check in to see if you're in a space of receiving. So, like, am I relaxed right now? How is my body? And check in. Oh, wow, actually my shoulders, like, I'm holding them up right now. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to relax whatever that is, and relax it. And then touch the tree again. And relax. And ask the question, what can I receive from this tree that I never thought I could possibly receive from this tree? And then please don't look for the answer, and just be in that space of receiving, and that space of that question. And that's part of where the magic shows up, because it's not always rational and it's not always cognitive.
Beautiful. So much space.
Yeah.
So what we were taught, though, and even if we look at, you talked about it in the beginning of the call today, was just like, you know, recycle, save the world. You know, the world's in a state, right? Like that somehow the earth is lacking something, and we need to be giving it something instead of receiving.
Oh,
can you speak
so
to that a little bit more?
And it's funny, the recycle, like, I joined the recycling team in my elementary school, but no one showed up but me. So then I had all these stickers that I didn't know what to do with. I was like, I'm going to save the earth. Let's recycle.
Right.
And I have nothing against recycling.
Right.
But yeah, so we talk in Access, we also talk about projections and expectations, and how that can affect something, okay? And it's actually, we are so much more powerful than we want to believe we are. So you may have heard of this study, and I actually can't remember the name of it, but it's world famous. So where they took like ice or water, and they like taped words to the jar of like, and yep. Like some were like
Dr. Emoto.
There we go.
Yeah.
And it was like gratitude and like all these things, and then they like all these kind of negative things, right? And they saw a difference just from that. Okay. So the earth, there's a lot of water on this earth. So if we're only thinking it happens with water, one, that's not true. But if like even looking at that, okay, so if you're projecting and expecting that the earth is doomed, or the earth is lacking, or the earth is weak, or the earth is pathetic in any way, and now, so that's you, one little person on this giant planet, and you're doing that, and just like, it's like shooting darts at the earth, right? Mm-hmm. Is that healing it? Mm. And now choose, now like put 10,000 people, now put 2 million people, now put 3 billion people all doing that to the earth. So we're all projecting that at the earth. How are we affecting it? What are we creating there?
Right.
So now let's flip it. Let's do the other thing. So now what if you acknowledged the earth? What if you had gratitude for it? And if you acknowledge the power and the magic of the earth, and that it actually has something to contribute. And we've probably had that, like if you project at someone that they're weak and pathetic and they need help, then they often, it doesn't actually really empower them. Mm-hmm. But if you go, wow, I know that this is not what we want to create. Like, what's going on for you is not the possibilities that we're aware of. What do you know? Earth, what do you know? And I've actually been asking that like every day. I'm like, hey, what do you know is possible here? And actually inviting that awareness and to empower the earth, and then also there is a huge gift in receiving. So when you're projecting at something that is pathetic, then it has nothing to give you, right? It is lacking, it is weak, it has nothing left to give you. But if you're actually willing to receive from something, you're acknowledging the greatness of it. And I actually have a great story about receiving. I used to feel like I was the person that had like all these gifts. Like almost like Santa Claus, like I had a sack of gifts to give people. Oh, can you still hear me? Hello?
Chris?
Venus, can you? Okay, thanks. So you feel like you have all these gifts to give, and I felt like people were only willing to receive so little of what I could give them, and it actually started to make me feel like maybe I wasn't a gift. Maybe my gifts weren't valuable, and so now if you like, and eventually I moved out of that with the tools of access consciousness. But if I looked at that with the earth, like if I'm not willing to receive the gifts of it, then I'm perpetrating that same thing onto it that was for me. So every time I receive from the earth, I see it as a gift to the earth, because when someone's willing to receive from me, it expands my world so much. It is such a gift to me personally to be received, and it acknowledges me. So that is a huge gift that you can be to the earth, is just to truly receive from it, to acknowledge it, to adore it, to be with it. Venus, are you still there?
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OmTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
I'm Kathy Williams, host of Sexy Mom Abundant Life radio show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. On the show, we explore living abundantly in every area of your life. Ways to let go of limiting patterns and beliefs and to step into the flow of creativity and possibility, knowing you are supported by the universe.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm here with Cassy Summers, and we're talking about Earth Magic. Cassy, right before the break, you were talking about gifting and receiving. I'd love to dive into that just a little bit more. Like, what is the difference even for us with the Earth in gifting and receiving?
The difference?
Well, like, how can we perceive that differently? Like, how can we give to the Earth, and how can we receive the Earth? And maybe they aren't separate. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, in Access we talk about contribution is gifting and receiving at the same time. So when you're willing to be a contribution to anything, you are at the same time you're gifting to it and you are receiving from it. So, but a fun way to explore, if you wanted to kind of play with the different, those different possibilities or energy, you can, like I had talked about, like put your hands on the earth and actually go, okay, so again, every time you ask a question, you actually activate something. So if you put your hands on the earth and said, okay, what could I gift to the earth right now? And just be in that moment and see what you notice. I don't want to tell you what I noticed because it'll be different for you. I want to know what you guys notice. What could I gift to the earth? And you could actually do it right now, even if you're not touching the earth. What can I gift to the earth right now? Whew. And then, wow, woo!
That's fun.
That's good, yeah, like more. And then now ask, okay, what can I receive from the earth right now? So cool, huh? It's different. So then you can
It is different, but it's also similar.
Yeah.
The energy is similar. Like, it's like, oh, it kind of, yeah.
Yeah. And then you could ask, what contribution can I be? What contribution can I choose with the earth right now? And what's really cool is sometimes when, I've heard like, oh, like there were these fires going on in Australia, and I tapped it, and what I mean by that is you can either look at a picture or you could think about Australia, or if you get energy, you just kind of perceive Australia where all the fire is going on, and I would tap in energetically to that part of the earth, and then I just would ask, and I did it every day for like a couple weeks, and I was just like, okay, so what contribution can I be with this part of the earth right now? And to me, that's magic.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about something really bizarre for a minute, but in Access, we talk about gifting to the earth, sometimes in a very different way, and it can even be gifting body pain to the earth. And now when I first heard that, I was like, this is a little bit crazy, and this seems like really mean. I like the earth. I don't think I want to gift pain to it. And but I remember going through this exercise. I think it was in a foundation class, and they said, take a pain in your body or a tightness, and on 3, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and you're going to gift it to the earth. And I put up my hand. I'm like, I'm not doing that. And so I had to actually get into a bit of a conversation to get clear on what was actually going on here. And so what the facilitator had asked me was, okay, so if pain was, what if pain was just an energy? What if pain was just an awareness? I'm like, okay, yeah, that's actually pretty light. Okay. And it's only something bad if you judge it as bad. And I'm like, oh, right. And then, so we went further into the conversation, and one of the things that came up was sometimes, and not always, but sometimes when you are having pain in your body, it's actually an awareness of the earth asking for something. And I was like, what? This is the way my body communicates with the earth? So after some back and forth and some clearing, I was like, okay, I'm ready to do this. And since then I've used it, and it has massively changed. Like, and we could even do it right now if we wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if you like tap in, should we?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so take like a pain in your body, or it might be a stiffness. It might be just something that's uncomfortable. It could be varying degrees of intensity. And then on 3, so just take that, and almost like now you're going to perceive it as it's just an energy, rather than like the label of this is pain or this is tightness. You're like, okay, this energy. And then on 3, kind of like imagine it like it's 2 balls in your hand, and you're going to go 1, 2, 3, and you're going to throw it to the earth. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so usually for me, I feel really energized after. I'm like, whoa, I could go for a run. Like, and the pain or the stiffness is more often than not completely disappears from my body. So I've been actually done that with my kids before. We were having one of those days where it's like, it doesn't matter what you do, everyone's grumpy. Nothing is changing this. So I was like, okay, everybody, we're going down to the creek. Because I was super grumpy too. They whined. They did not want to go, but somehow we got there. I don't even know how. And we sat. There was these big rocks, and I'm like, everyone sit down. And we all sat down, and we just looked at there's this kind of creek thing that runs through. And he said, okay, on 3, I want you, we are throwing this, whatever this energy is that we're calling grumpy, we're going to throw it and gift it to the earth. And I actually had to have that same conversation with my kids, because they were like, I'm not doing that. That's mean. And so we did it, and the space that showed up and the joy that the kids started to have. And they're like, what else do you want, Earth? And they just started throwing, do you want this? Do you want? And they were just gifting energy to the earth, up to the trees and into the water and at the birds. And it was so, actually so beautiful and playful. And we all felt better. We all just were like, okay, cool. What do we want to do now? Because anything is possible now.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Yeah, and we encourage you guys just to try it and see how it makes you feel. If it makes you lighter, then it's true for you, and if it's heavier, then it's not, right? So, but just sampling it out and trying it, seeing how much lighter you feel, how much more space. Yeah, well, I know.
More play.
Yes. Sorry, yes. Have a great. Happiness heals the planet, so go be joyful, whatever that takes. Well, Cassy, I know that you actually have, I'm so excited to hear more about it. You have a whole month dedicated to Earth Magic starting on April 1st. Could you tell us all about that?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so part of this pull like this, like I need to do something more with the earth. I'm just feeling this pull so dynamically. And I'm really great. So I talked about how I tricked myself into consciousness. Well, I use that tool still. I recognize that I'm like, I need to be spending like every day going into nature right now. And that doesn't mean forever for the rest of my life, but right now I was just so aware this is something that is so required for me and for the earth. So I'm like, so how could I trick myself into making this a priority? And I'm like, oh, what if I did this with a group of people? And what if every day we spent some time with the earth? What if every day it starts off with a call. We launch off with Zoom, and we'll play with some of the access consciousness tools, the clearing statements, the processes. We'll talk to the earth, and we're going to play with that. And then every day is something different. So we have like energy pulls. So we're going to do energy pulls with the earth. So we're going to talk a lot about energy and how to gift and how to receive and what that could be like. Some of the tools like the exercises we did today. And then we have like little challenges, like to get people to explore earth. Some of where I talked about like playing with all your senses, like what do you smell? What do you feel? And like really like exploring the earth, being kids with the earth again, like being curious and excited. We're going to be doing, other little like challenges with your body and with the earth, and like what do you notice there? And so every morning we start out with kind of a 5-step process, and I kind of guide you through that. And then we're gonna, with a group of people, we're just gonna be with the earth and see what shows up, and kind of play and explore this new possibility.
Well, that sounds exciting. I love the idea like of every day spending some time with the earth. Wow, what a contribution that could be.
Yeah.
So how do
really
people
need it
find?
Right now?
Yeah, right.
I think they're really neat. Yeah,
just watch, everybody. The
now.
coronavirus will be cleared up next month just because of Cassy's program.
Yeah. Totally. You're all welcome to join.
Yes. Well, great. Well, how can they find more information about this or sign up, or somebody's like, yes.
Yes. So the website is www.asifbymagic.space. And there's also, if you search Earth Magic, it's on Facebook. There's a Facebook event, and then you could look me up, Cassy Summers, if you can't find anything, and message me. I will give you all the things that you need. I'm really excited, and it has such a nurturing for me and for the earth at the same time, like that contribution. And actually, talking about contribution, we're at half of the proceeds for Earth Magic will be going to a non-for-profit organization. Actually, I don't know if it's non-for-profit. It's an organization called Force for Futures. You might know more about that, actually, Venus. And because that's the future we'd like to create, and that's part of why we're doing this, is to create a future.
That is so funny. I literally was going to ping you this morning and go, do you want to donate some of this to Force for Futures?
Yeah.
You already got it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know. I love that. Yes. And Force for Futures really is about, the premise behind it is buying up the land that has been raped of the trees and just reforesting it. And we can create a different future just by being willing to plant seeds and bring new life back. So it's one of my favorite projects. I don't think it's a foundation either, but it is a project.
Yeah, you're right. It's a project. That's the best. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, so what future can we create and contribute to with a different possibility for the earth?
Mm. That's really beautiful. So, Cassy, if you could have people get a couple of things about like the earth and maybe how to even get started, where can they, what would you recommend?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. One, I would ask you to, for some of you this will be really easy, and for others of you this will not be so easy, would you be willing to kind of acknowledge how connected to the earth you already are? Because a lot of us like, I never go out in nature. I don't do camping or skiing or, I like work in a big city. I live in an apartment building. I don't even have plants. And what if your body and your being are really truly connected with the earth? And would you be willing to acknowledge that you might actually be hearing or perceiving or feeling the pull of the earth right now too? So acknowledgement grows everything. It's like, talk about seeds, like acknowledgement is the nurturing that every seed requires to become greater. So if you can acknowledge that, then it can grow and it can become greater. So I would start there. I would start to acknowledge your communion and connection with the earth, and then start to maybe make a list of like, what are the fun things that you could maybe explore and try out? Things that you already do, but what things could you add that you've never done before? Maybe you've been like, I've always wanted to try like whitewater rafting, but I've never done it. Or, there's this like special hike that I've always like been wanting to do, but always put off. And what if you made a few choices and took some actions in the next couple days or this week that could start you to have more play with the earth?
Awesome. And if you guys want to find out more about that program, it will be listed on this page for this show, asifbymagic.space. And thank you, Cassy, so much for
thank you.
The magic of you. I adore you.
I adore you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.